Hi, how's everyone doing? Hopefully, you're still with us. This is Amy Hamilton, author of The Project Manager Life is a Project and The Consummate Communicator Character Traits of True Professionals. I'm here with Michelle Mras. And Michelle, I found one of your books. As you know, I actually own both your books. And what I told Michelle, one of my biggest problems is I'm a book giver. And so I'll talk to somebody, I'll be like, oh, you need this book my friend Michelle wrote. And so I probably am like one of actually Michelle's like biggest providers of books because I've probably bought like half a dozen and then just given them away and then end up like having to buy more. So I'm super excited to be here with Michelle Mras. And this is a virtual book festival. It is super exciting to have all these amazing authors on here today. 24 authors in 12 hours, a bit of a marathon session. And Michelle, would you like to share with us a little bit about your books and what inspired you to write your books?
Okay, I've got two books. So the first book, it started because I had a brain injury. So I was in a car accident in 2014 and I lost days, months, whatever. But for 18 months, I did not speak or walk. And when I came out of it, I was compelled to speak. And I remembered some things about my life. And then I was asked to be on a TED Talk. So I spoke about this. Good morning, Tricia. And when I came off and did my TEDx, it was called Eat, Drink, and Be Merry. Came off the stage and they said, where's your book? And I went, what book? And they went, you better get a book. So in a pretty much 2 weekends, I kind of compiled some stories I did from my Toastmaster years and made a book called Eat, Drink, and Be Merry, A Glimpse into a Life Well Lived. Basically, it's a book about living a life of intention because until I had my brain injury, I didn't realize how haphazardly I was living my life. And then about a year later, that next year, I found out I had breast cancer and they gave me 3 months to live. And so I wrote another book because I was already on the speaking circuit at this point. And people were telling me, oh, you're so lucky you're not in that 9-to-5 job. Oh, you're so lucky you're traveling the world. And I said, it's not luck. It's overcoming you. So I wrote the next book called It's Not Luck, Overcoming You. And it's basically all those inner critic voices that pop into your head that tell you, don't do that, don't write that book, don't tell that story, don't get on that stage, you're not good enough. It was all those kind of things that were going through my head about, you should die. You should not be here. And so I argued with my inner critics. And I wrote down the questions that were, the attacks that they gave me, generalized, and then gave stories to how I counteracted it. So the second book is really more of a workbook on how to get through past your inner critics in order to be the best version of you. Hi, Brian.
So it's super exciting to have you, Michelle. And one of the things I wanted to talk about, and it's really a lot of your platform, which is like living life unapologetically, it's overcoming you, is a lot of times we have difficulty with our motivation. We get this idea and we're like, I'm going to write a book. And then it's like, and then that manuscript just sits there. And then, or you might even finish the manuscript, but you realize, oh, that's just like the first little tip of the iceberg. Now you're going through this whole journey of like going through the editing, going through the publishing, and then having those reviews from beta readers. It can just be a little bit harsh and really kind of, that critique can be difficult. So how do you stay motivated through this process?
Know your end goal. Really, that's it. I mean, in my first book, Eat, Drink, and Be Merry, I said you have to have a goal, but be very flexible in how you get there. You talked about that earlier with Sabi. Sabi. Okay, I was close. I had the S in there. But yeah, you have to have a plan and have a goal. Now, how you get there is irrelevant as long as you get there. So it's like a GPS. So you can have multiple roads to that same destination. Same thing with the book. Like, I know Tricia is one of the book authors that'll come on later. When I started this book, you know how your brain does, oh, and this is a good idea. Oh, and this is a good idea. Oh, and this, squirrel. What I did is I started multiple books. Every time I had an idea, I would have a folder and I would put those ideas, I'd write it down and put it in, write it down, put it in. And so really I have about 10 books written because I was writing this first book. And so when I wanted to do my second book, I'm like, okay, which book was I after next? Oh, this one. Well, I'd been building it all along. So what I tell aspiring authors to stay motivated, every time you tell a story, Either put it in your phone, record it into your phone, write it down, do something and put it in a file. All of our phones are walking computers, right? They're always on us. They're walking with us. So say it into your phone, or jot it into a note and stick it into a file. And basically, every time an idea pops into your mind about your book, you're writing a little bit into that book. You know, that whole saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So start biting every time you tell a story, every time you have an idea that goes towards your book, write it down, put it away. And then what you do is every weekend or whatever your end time is, give it short time periods, go back and put it together in sentences so it makes sense. And basically what you end up doing is you end up writing a book, you don't even realize you've done it.
So, Michelle, I am super excited. I'm working on a project with you right now. It's going to be another book that you're going to have to come out. And this is about women who do amazing things. I'm so honored that I'm going to be writing a book chapter. Do you want to share a little bit about that project, some of your upcoming work?
Well, I actually have 3 other books. So the conglomeration book that you're a part of, the deadline is the end of November, because it's a book of women who have overcome. And basically it's everyone's got about 20, let's say 20 pages each to show you can go from hell and high water to get through it, and that you don't have to be a superstar or anything. I mean, you're just you. And what this book is, it's I right now the working title is Dancing in the Rain, because so many people think, oh, bad things are happening to me, then I need to just curl up and shrivel up and wait till the storm passes. And what all of these women in this book have done is during the storm, they kept walking or dancing or learned their own song. And so that's what this conglomeration book is. And yes, you're one of the authors.
That is super exciting. And we have Kaija Lane on later, and both of her books are themed about dancing. And she takes a very serious topic, which is surviving suicide, where her husband killed himself and she survived. And now she's thriving. She's an author. She's a speaker. She's an amazing woman. And what you really talk about in all of your work, Michelle, that's very inspiring, is this concept of overcoming the hurdles. And so I have no doubt that these next projects are also going to be things that help to inspire. Do you want to talk about those?
Well, I don't want to talk about the next books, but basically the general thing about everything I do is up-leveling whomever is reading, hearing, or watching to go to their next level. I say, be unapologetically you, be the best version of you. And whatever that is, grow to it. And so my mission in life is to help, pull that veil of uncertainty from other people's faces. Because in the past 3 years, I've had 8 major surgeries. I have transformed from one human to another human, and I emerged from a cocoon that I had forced myself into because I thought that's who I had to be. And as I pulled away that sheath and all those, peels, I realized, wait a minute, I've been hiding behind a 380-pound woman. I've been hiding inside of this. And so if you go to my TEDx, it's called Eat, Drink, and Be Merry. Go to my website. You can find it easier. You will see a woman who does not look like this. But I can assure you, mentally, I've transformed quadruple. Okay. It's a mental transformation of stepping into who you are and owning your gifts. And so that's what all the next books are about, are pulling people out of that cocoon so that they can be the best versions of them unapologetically and give back to the world their gifts.
So, Michelle, what advice do you have for people when it comes to this living life unapologetically? What exactly does that mean? And I've watched your video a few times, so maybe you could share that a little bit.
I am a Filipina, really, by heart. I was raised in the Philippines. My father's an American from New Orleans, but I was really raised in the Philippine culture. And so my brain set was always do as your adults have told you. Always do what your elders tell you. And so growing up, I always wanted to appease anyone who was older than me. It didn't matter if they were in my family. So whenever I saw anything, I would do, June Cleaver always looks perfect. June, leave it to Beaver. She's always perfect. So that's how you have to be. Oh, and then I would take examples from TVs and movies and whatever, and I would accumulate it onto my own persona. That's a lot of pressure. And I know I'm not the only one who does that. We all look at, oh, so and so did this, so therefore that's the best way because that's why they're successful. And we put all these onuses on who we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to grow up to be, whatever that is. And it's like, no, stop apologizing for what you're not and become who you truly want to be. So you know what you like to do. And you do, nah, I better not do that because, no one else really does that. And we downplay who we are. No, unapologetic living means step into what you really wanted to do in the first place. Me, I'm an engineer by trade. I mean, my degree is in engineering, but it's not who I am. So if I stayed in that box where I was told to stay, I wouldn't be an international speaker going around the world and inspiring people as I am now. You see, so I stepped into who I was and then cowered back because, oh, who else does that? Oh, what am I doing? No one else I know does that. And so stop fighting what you naturally want to do and step into that unapologetically. Make your own path. Stop looking for someone else who does what you do. Create a new path. We don't need another Amy Hamilton. We don't need another Michelle Mras. We need you as you doing what you do best. Find your superpower. Be the best version of you. I just said that in my podcast the other day. Then girls, yeah, I have 2 podcasts I wanted to. Yeah, we were just talking about superpowers.
No, I think that's really great. And your superpowers, you bring so much energy, Michelle. As you're aware, a lot of times for these book festivals, when you go into physical space, you're signing your books, you're giving your books away. There's that tactile feel. Unfortunately, we cannot do that today. I cannot hand this book to you through the screen, but virtually both my books are available for free download on Kindle all day long. And so that's a super exciting opportunity. So Michelle, do you want to talk about any giveaways or anything today?
Yes, actually, I narrated my first book, Eat, Drink, and Be Merry, and it's on Audible. And for whoever, I don't know how you're doing the giveaway. I have a free download of the Audible of Eat, Drink, and Be Merry, and then you get to hear my voice. That once, once upon a time there was a girl. No, it's my book in my voice, and I'm a voiceover actress, so I'm actually kind of easy on the ears.
Yes, you really have that talent, Michelle. So that's super exciting. So if you want Michelle's book on Audible, please just personal message me or Michelle. You can go to michellemraz.com, which she has right there in the corner. For a lot of people, I've been doing the tickers, and I'm like, I don't need a ticker from Michelle. Michelle's got this. She's a professional. And so it's super exciting. So Michelle, when we're looking at different books, I think it's important not that we just write, but we're also inspired. What kind of reading are you doing right now? And what do you recommend in COVID when we have lots of time to read?
Well, my thing is I'm a silly reader. I'm just like my mother-in-law. I said it in my TEDx. I like, one serious book and one really kind of goofy, trashy book, and then one that's mindless. So I tend to be reading John Maxwell books. I love John Maxwell. And then my next book for my silliness is I tend to read Christopher Moore books. And he's just a goofy writer, but he's so intelligent the way he ties all of his stories up together. And then I read anyone who comes on my podcast, I read their books too. So like Trisha Copeland, she's coming on later. She was on my show. So I'm in the middle of reading her book, Torch. And so anyways, I'm reading 4 or 5 books at a time. So it's difficult for me because it depends on my whim. Yeah, I'm always reading.
No, I think that's a great point. And that's why when I was like, let's do a virtual book festival, I didn't want to limit this first one by genre. And so really this book festival is open up to everybody. We have Westerns, we have thrillers, we have comedy, we have inspiration.
Your book is on my end table. The Constant Communicator is on my end table right now.
That is awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. And so, it's really just kind of this great concept of how do we get these different books out there? How do people know, like, oh, these books are even available? It's really hard. Michelle and I have another friend who owns this amazing little coffee shop in Colorado Springs called the Buzz Badger. And, you can always like reach out and say, hey, can you let me do a book signing in your coffee shop? And, this is kind of what we've traditionally done. The other thing is, Michelle, I would like for you to talk a little bit of transitioning during COVID. So Michelle has done some really amazing stuff in these mastery classes. And she was constantly flying everywhere. She was going everywhere. She was holding these courses. And then COVID happened. So how did you cope with that? And how did you overcome that, Michelle?
I'm still in the process of building. But what I basically did is I shifted gears is what I did. So I always said, oh, one of these days I'll build an online platform. I built it, but never released it, just like a book. It's nobody look at my platform. I don't want anyone to mess up me. Look at my teachings. So I never released it. And what I did is I hired a VA who would look at that platform, make sure it was all good, so that now my Eat, Drink, and Be Merry courses and my It's Not Luck courses are all digitally online. Now, when people say tragedy and that things are really bad with COVID, I took it as a perfect way of sitting back. So with me, I believe in the rubber band effect. I believe that whenever you're being pulled back in any situation, that energy cannot be destroyed. Okay. So when you feel like you're being pulled back and that things are holding you from doing what you want to do, you need to redirect that energy from that rubber band. So you can't go this way. You can't go towards A anymore because there's no more live stages. You're not going to have a tangible book to sign. So where can you go? You aim it somewhere else. And what I did is I aimed it into the virtual world of all speaking platforms. So now instead of saying, oh, I'm sorry, I can't go to Ireland this month because I'm actually now I do. Okay, I can be there in 2 hours. I mean, it's basically the world has opened up. And then with these platforms like StreamYard and, Restream and all these platforms that we can go on to and teach live, my virtual stage has hit huge. Okay, so I'm not speaking to a physical room of 5,000. I'm speaking to a virtual room of 3 million. This has been a very good thing. So authors out there, if you're feeling like, oh no, I can't sign books, guess what? Now you have even a more tangible way of reaching people. Now you can say, you want my book? This is great. I'm doing this live talk, da, 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 da. You want my book? I will sign it and send it directly to you. Personally signed. It gives a closer bond to your reader. This is not a bad thing. This is just, you need to be more engaged with your audience. We have the world at our fingertips. Enjoy it and enjoy being an author. And if you are an aspiring author, find a motivation to start writing, read other books in that genre that you like so that you can say, oh, I like that. Oh, I don't like that. And build yourself a platform one piece at a time, because the time is now to build who you are. That energy has got to go somewhere. When it's ready to release, I want you to shoot forward, because every time I've gone down, I've redirected stronger and faster than ever.
So, Michelle, you have certainly overcome a lot, and that's a really good message to people. I mean, you have to redirect this energy. You can't just sit there and say, oh, well, this isn't working. And sometimes we have to recognize, like, hey, this isn't going to work. I need to change. But it's really like it's pivoting now. That was used earlier today is, you've got to pivot. You've got to make those adjustments. So when you look at the adjustments that you've had to make through COVID, what are kind of the big things you've had to change? And what are the small things? What are those things that you just took for granted?
See, here's the thing. I didn't see any of this as pivoting. I'm a cancer patient. So I already was watching who I was standing around. I was already washing my hands all the time with antibacterial things. I mean, I'm always taking vitamins. I'm always out in the sun. I'm always taking care of my health because I'm always in peril, really. I mean, there's always this dark creature waiting for me called cancer. So I take care of myself already. So when COVID hit, I was like, yeah, same day, different day. I mean, it was the same thing for me. So there was no massive change for me, except that I don't fly. And it was already flu season. So I already didn't want to fly because flu season, airplanes. So I had already pulled back on my travel. So there really was no shift for me with COVID, except that I became very hyper-focused on building an online platform to teach my book. And so for those of you who are out there, if you have a book already, if you are thinking about writing a book, when you're writing your book, think about how can I break up my chapters in order to teach it to other people? Because now you can actually reach through the internet and talk to your readers one-on-one. And they can actually talk to you about, hey, chapter 1, you said, this character did this and this did this. Why did you do that? You can talk to your audience. This is awesome. So be the best version of you. Be unapologetically you. And know that your book will touch lives. And with the world being shut down into internet world, you can reach your audiences far better. So when you're building your websites, when you're building your sheets like this on Facebook, build it so that you can interact more, because people need interaction. And although we have a physical disconnect, we have a mental connect. So we want to thrive in that, bring the world closer together. We can bring in all the borders of all the countries together on this internet and become a stronger human race. So yes, I think big and I think happy thoughts, but we can, and this is it. This is what we're doing.
And Michelle, you bring up a really great point. I've had people come to me and say, but I don't write inspirational books. And I'm like, you wrote a book that's inspiring. And I'm like, whether it's the character in this book or, like if it's a fiction book, I think sometimes you become so intertwined with those characters that their lives matter to you. And that can be inspirational. Or, I had a Irish comedian in Germany earlier.
Yes.
And, these are stories where we need some joy. We need happiness right now. I mean, it is definitely sometimes when it is just great to see somebody smile. And it's so important that we're able to just connect to people and to share that connection with them. So Michelle, you're talking a lot about these high energy things, which are fantastic, but we all know that with that high energy, there also needs to be that point of relaxation. What is your advice on how do you relax and how do you de-stress in these very stressful times when people have a lot of anxiety?
Okay. And see, that's a really bad topic for me because I don't see stress and anxiety very often. And so I'm a big believer in time blocking. So my mornings are always blocked for me. My meditation, my intentions, my journal writing, my walking. Half the time I'm walking and writing my journal in my head at the same time. I mean, me comes first. Okay, me time always comes first. And then with also my weekends, I block off my weekends. And so my weekends, I go off into a cabin in the woods. Amy, you wrote your second book there. And I go and I detach. And it's a wonderful place because it's a great way to turn off that phone and stop looking at all this social media noise. And so I'm a big believer in turning off your brain to recharge. I believe in filling your own pitcher so you can fill everybody else's cup. But you have to remember, you still have a cup too. So if you have an empty cup, you're not doing anyone's any favors. You need to back up. How do you fill your cup again so that you can go back out and help more? Fill your cup first. Take care of you. You must block out time just for you. And for those of you like, there is no way I'm going to have 30 minutes to myself, then make it start with 5, then move up to 10. Then move it to 2 days of 10 minutes. Just build it. It's just the same thing of writing your book. How do you eat the elephant? One bite at a time. How do you find time for yourself so you can reflect and think about what you want to do? One minute at a time. So be the best version of you. Be unapologetically you. But in order to do that, you must be intentional about what you do with your time. We all have the same amount of time during the day. It's really basically how you use that time in your day.
Michelle, those are such important points. And I think you hit on something key is even if you're not experiencing anxiety, though, you're a coach. So you hear this from your clients who say, I don't have time. I can't do this. I'm not organized. And so, it may not be like that you need that advice, but it's like, how do you give that advice? How do you share that with other people? So people can block off time with you right now, right on your website. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Oh, yeah. My calendar is always out there. So, I mean, if you ever want to talk to me about, how do I get through this and I need some time, how do I work this? Get on my calendar. I have a 15-minute consult. Just jump on the call with me and we'll see how I can help you. I'm really fast. So I think completely out of the box. There is no box in my world. So yeah, get on my calendar. It's on my website. It's right down there, michellemras.com. Very easy lady to talk to. I'm kind of straightforward. Amy knows that. So yeah, jump on a call with me and be the best version of you. Let's get you moving because you must be able to de-stress. And remember, there's 3 types of control in this world. There's Byron Katie's my favorite person, by the way. There's my control, there's the other person's control, and then there's God and the universe's control. You can control yourself. So when you're thinking the world is so stressful, correction, why is it stressful to you? Oh, because you're taking it on. Oh, because this and this and this. No, stop. What can you control? You can control how you react. So let's focus on how can you control your thoughts so you can control how you react. And then that makes the rest of all that process so much smoother. So yeah, jump on a call with me. And then, if you're the one who wins my book, even better, you can hear me talk through the book, and then you'll understand a little bit more about, I'm a pretty neat lady, but I'm also a very driven lady.
So, Michelle, you just mentioned about winning your book. Are you ready to go ahead and announce who the winner is as we're starting to wrap up this session?
I get to choose the winner?
You can choose the winner for the book. So my suggestion is you kind of pick a number right now, any number.
Okay, 17.
Oh, that's too high. I think we need to do something about 5, something lower than 5, 5 or lower.
4.
The winner then is Brian Swinson, who put in the fourth to the last comment in our comment section. So that is super fun.
We can't do Brian. He's my co-host on Denim and Pearls.
Oh, well, I'm afraid it's Brian for now. So,
well, CC Pam, I can send to Pam.
You want to send one to Pam? Okay, Pam just wrote in 4. So Pam, if you could personal message me, I will put you and Michelle in contact, or personal message Michelle, michellemras.com, and she also has a Facebook page. And Brian said try again. So Pam, you are going to be getting a signed copy of Michelle's book, or is it books?
Oh no, Pam, what? I was going to send her the audiobook.
Oh, the audiobook. Okay, great. So Pam, you are getting an audiobook from Michelle's first book, which is Eat, Drink, and Be Merry. Her TED Talks was also on, so that's really exciting.
And this one,
It's Not Luck, Overcoming You, which is also a really amazing book and a super fun read. So Pam, I'll put you and Michelle in touch, and I am going to go ahead and sign off at this point with Michelle. Michelle, is there anything that you want to add before we go to the next author? Any last words of inspiration from Michelle?
Be the best version of you. Stop apologizing for what you're not and embrace who you are. And that's about it. Go get The Consummate Communicator, because it's a cool little story you got going in there.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you for your time, and thank you for everything that you do for those around you. You're such a bright light in the world.
You're welcome. Thank you.